Well, I just got back from a weekend trip to Orlando for the not South, but just Florida Linux show of 2009. Took some videos and pictures, so I'm going to throw together a little video here, and I figured I'd just let you watch me edit it so you can see how I do some things. First things first, need to make a little intro. I have some still shots I took here. I'm going to use these two here as a picture of my wife and then a picture of me and my friend, and we're just going to open both of those in GIMP. And just do some adjusting of colors. This one actually looks pretty good. We had the flash going there. This one's a little dark. So I'm going to go down to levels. And you can manually adjust levels, but I'm just going to quickly do an auto level. Makes it look a little bit better. And then I'll probably do some curves and make it a little brighter. Do a little bit of an S curve here on it. You can also adjust the brightness and contrast. Whatever you like to do to make the picture look better. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to resize this image. They're pretty, I think I took them at either 3 or 5 megapixels, not huge, but way bigger than you need for video. So I'm going to resize this image, so I'm going to scale the image, and I'm just going to change it to 720 as far as the width. And so I'll get close to what we're working with in the video. It's actually going to be a different dimensions, but as long as we get close, we'll do that. Same with this one. We'll go to image, scale image. You don't have to do this in here. You can resize it in Cineralla, but I find it easier just to do it in here. So 720. There we go. And I'm going to do save as because I want to keep the high-res pictures. So I'm just going to call this intro 1, and I'll save it as a JPEG there. And I'll save this one as intro 2 JPEG. There we go. I've also created in GIMP already a nice little logo here, Florida Linux Show, and that will be our title. I saved it as title PNG. I saved it as a PNG because I want the transparent background there. So now we can go to Cineralla, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go I have the track editor here open. I'm going to click O to open files. I'm going to go to where I have those images saved. And I'm going to select all 3 of them. And I'm going to say replace current project. And that will put each one of them on their own track, which is exactly what I want. Also, I probably should mention, and I've mentioned in previous videos, before you do that, make sure you go into Preferences and choose under Record, Import Images at whatever seconds you want. Right now they're all set to 5 seconds, which I actually am going to stretch them out a little bit here in a minute because I probably want my intro to be closer to 10 seconds. Give everyone time to read everything. First thing to do is I want the words on top, so I'm going to move that layer up so it's on top. So you can see I have one image here, and I have the words there. And that looks good, I kind of like that with just the picture in the background. If I wanted the other picture there, I can move that one up so it's above. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to scale the images down a little bit more. And reason I know I'm scaling them anyway, but I scaled them in GIMP before is because they would have been huge when I moved them in here, and I would have had to scale them way down. But anyway, so I scaled them both down. They're smaller like so. I can adjust the size here if you choose constraint ratio so that they don't lose their proportions. And but they're kind of good where they are at half size there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to deselect, unarm these 2 tracks, so I'm working with this picture, and I want the projector selected, which I already have selected there, and I'm going to drag this image right down here so you can see our faces, and then I'm going to arm this track and move this image up here, just to wherever you want it. Remember to keep in mind our borders, our visual borders. And you know, if you're watching this on a computer screen, everything's going to be visible, but some TVs will cut off. So you kind of want, especially the words, to be within this inner, or at least this outer white line. But to be real safe, you should do the inner lines. So we'll even scale that down. So we'll grab scaling there, and we'll change the scaling on that, and we'll move it up. And what I'm going to actually do is go to about halfway through, so you know it's about 2.5 seconds there, and Oh, just realized I had keyframes on. I did not want keyframes on. So I'm going to delete the keyframes that are there. You'll recognize them by the little keys that were showing up in the timeline there. But I want it on now. I'm going to go about halfway, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in here, move that up so that the words are within the border here but full size. And then you can see here, if I zoom in on our timeline, there we go, there's a little keyframe right there. I'm going to go back to the beginning, and I'm going to change it like so, and I'm going to shrink the words way down like that. So now what we have is, if we go through the timeline, the words come flying in. And now we're also going to do the same thing in regards to the images, but we're going to change the camera movement or the projector movement. So I'm going to arm this track, and what I'm going to do is, there's a few ways we can do this. I'm going to use it by saying keyframes on the projector, and I'm going to do x-axis, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I have a keyframe set here, and we'll set that up right about here. We'll set a keyframe, and I'm going to move the image a little bit, and I'm going to go all the way back here and move the image off to the side. So now we should have keyframe set. Whoop, the pictures come flying in. Perfect. I'm going to do the same with this image now. I'm going to turn that off, turn this on, and I am going to set it, just move the image slightly so that there's a keyframe set, go back to the beginning, slide it off to the side. Now when we press play, the words come in and the pictures come in. We have a nice little intro made. So far, like I said, it's set to 5 seconds, which might be good, but I'm going to make them a little bit longer. I'm going to zoom out here a little bit. I'm going to arm all the tracks you can use tab as your cursor's over each track, and I'm going to grab this, center click, drag it out, and you see it adjusted all the tracks because I have all tracks armed. And I'm going to put it up, like I said, to probably 10 seconds would be good. So center click, drag to there, and I'm going to do the same for the effects here. Make sure they go all the way out. And what we're going to do now is we can make all the tracks fade out. So we're going to select our little band here, and we have all tracks armed, and we will grab the band here and drag it down till they are all black, so they all fade out together. So we'll watch our video, words come in, pictures come in, and then they're up long enough for everybody to read everything, and then it will fade out. Perfect. What we're going to do now is I'm going to, we'll quickly save this. I'm going to save it as, and I'll save it under the folder where I'm keeping my project. And I'll just call it Linux 1. And I put the 1 there because I like to, actually I'm going to do 01. I like to save sections as I'm working so I can go back to a point and change stuff in case I get way into the project and decide I want to go back a few steps. But we're going to hit Shift R here for render. We're going to choose raw DV, and we're going to render rendering raw DV, and it requires audio tracks even if there's nothing on them. So we're going to hit Control T twice, and what that did was add 2 audio tracks. Now we'll hit Shift R to go into render. We have render audio and video, and what I'm going to do is for this, I'm going to render the entire project, and I'm going to insert, it says nothing, I'm going to replace the current project. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to choose where I want the video saved, and I'm going to create a new folder here, and I like to call this render so I know where all my rendered videos are, and I'll call it render 1, or actually I'll call it intro since it's the intro. You can name it whatever you want though. Click apply. It's going to take a few seconds. It's rendering the video. And when we're done, it will erase all the tracks we have in here and replace it with just that video we just rendered. We're at 61% here because it's rendering each frame. You'll see it start to fade out here because it gives you a preview as it's saving. And rendering goes a lot faster when you're working with DV files because it doesn't have to recompress. Since we're working with images and animations here, it has to compress each frame. So there you go. We have our timeline here with a DV video of the animation we made. So I'm going to stop recording here and do a second part to this video. And I hope you continue watching the second part.